courtroom because I'm recording you. If I find out later that there's no such transaction, I won't say more than that. I'm listening. So what about the transaction?
There's something like that, only that.
Narrate to me. There is a property somebody wants to sell.
Yes.
Where is the property?
The property is...
I'm not asking for the address. Okay. Which area?
The property is at Festac.
At Festac?
Yes.
What kind of property is it?
Opposite...
What kind of property? Are you talking to yourself or you're talking to me?
Two-bedroom flat.
Two-bedroom apartment. What's the value?
The value is 9 million. So
how much is your agency fee there?
No, I'm not the only person that is...
So how much do you think you expect from it?
The agent's fee...
How much? Not the total.
Myself.
I'm not asking for the total.
At least I will...
I'm asking for how much you know that you will get out of it.
At least I will get 100.
100?
100.
You're expecting 100,000 naira. And you are affirming right here that you will pay him up next month.
Next 2 months.
You are owing 350,000 naira. So where do you expect to get the balance?
I'll keep on trying. I will get it. But let me start from somewhere.
You won't decide. You're not the one that will decide for me. I hope you've learned a lot of lessons from this.
Yes, Your Honor.
Which mistake do you think you've made over this transaction?
Your Honor, I don't think I've made any mistake.
Did he show you the property before you paid to him?
Well, I
you did not make any mistake?
On the previous...
Listen to me. The fact that nothing went wrong at that time does not mean that is the proper way to go about it. How can you pay some for something you have not seen? Do you understand?
I understand, Your Honor.
Now, you didn't even consider the fact that the quality of what he might get for you might not meet the standard that you desire. He will just tell you, I've paid. Before you pay, see what you are paying for. Inspect. Ask them, if possible, to reveal the landlord or the landlord's lawyer. You people just pay. You pay to an agent. It's a high risk. Yeah, I believe you've made that mistake, you've learned from that mistake, and you probably won't repeat that mistake again.
Yes, Your Honor.
As for you, everything you've said today, you've not exonerated yourself. Do you understand?
When the Justice Court returns, Judge Funmi decides on who is merciful and who gets the hammer.
Judgment for the plaintiff, John Anthony Ike, is to refund the sum of 350,000 naira to Seth Matson. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Have you been cheated or have a dispute and want justice? Don't take laws into your hands. Log on to www.thejusticecourt.com and submit your case or call 0805-9837-472.
I'm not sure this man will be able to even pay that money he talked about.
I thank God I am before the justice. This is justice. And that is the only truth. I also thank God because I know that conscience is an open wound and nothing can heal it than truth. So we're facing the truth.
I've learned a lot of lessons. At least before I go into this transaction with anybody, I have to check to confirm before I make any payments.
One thing one cannot really decide is trouble. Understand? Trouble can fall anybody, and it can fall at any time. But I just pray it will not fall in this kind of money again. And I would love it to be my own money I used to cure my son. That's the issue.
In the future, I'm not sure I can transact any business with him. I can't do that.
Faith grows by worship. God wants my heart. But much more than that, an atmosphere of faith is very necessary around your life from time to time. And when we get into a place of worship, it has a way of just overcrowding my doubt. Faith dies up gradually in an atmosphere of unbelief, tension, fear, and animosity. Will you say that you're taking steps this season that are bringing delight to the heart of God? Because God is pleased by every faith action, by every faith move that we make. Faith pleases God.
From his youthful days up till now, for more than 23 years, Guru Desire Subai continued to enlighten the masses from the spiritual point of view. Life is so complicated. Only one source cannot provide answers to all the problems of life. Watch Guru Desire Subai Q&A series and sundry lessons and acquire immense enlightenment. Identify problems emanating from destiny. Know more about yourself. Argue with others in the tone of finality. Ask anything. Watch Desires Pathfinder on Saturdays at 8 p.m. on TVC.
We have just one goal and a broad vision. Our goal is to improve the standard of basic education in Lagos.
Our vision is to ensure that no child is left behind in our programs, projects, and initiatives.
Our mission is to collaborate with stakeholders in creating a conducive environment for quality teaching and learning in Lagos State.
Through the provision of infrastructure, capacity building, and support for our local government education authorities.
We have a team of professionals who are determined and ready to go on this journey.
The present administration in Lagos is leaving no stone unturned in ensuring that the public education system and the state becomes the cynosure of all eyes within and outside Nigeria.
For more updates on happenings in the Lagos State Universal Basic Education Board.
Lagos State Universal Basic Education Board. We are leaving no child behind.
Watch the Lagos Subeb on TVC.
Here are 7 steps preventing the coronavirus.
Wash your hands thoroughly and frequently with running water and soap for at least 30 seconds. Avoid contact with people's hands and hard surfaces.
Number 3, always sneeze into a piece of tissue and cover your cough with your elbow, like this.
Step 4, avoid crowded spaces.
Step 5, stay at home if you feel unwell, even with a slight fever and cough.
Step 6, if you have a fever, cough, or difficulty breathing, seek medical help early.
And while we maintain social distancing, step 7 and the final step is stay tuned to this channel to receive more updates on the coronavirus.
Dawn is here. With the land reclaimed, the restoration agenda is underway. Governor Kaide Fayemi is delivering on his 5 pillars of administration: governance, social investment, agriculture and rural development, knowledge economy, infrastructure and industrial development, and many more. Watch Ekiti on the move on this station and stay informed about the giant strides Ekiti State is taking as the new haven of development and good governance. Ekiti on the move.
The
Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, was on July 1, 2006, issued a transmission license with the responsibility of wheeling electricity at high voltage from generation to distribution companies nationwide, operate the national grid, and provide market operation service. Power Wheel is a television program that showcases what TCN is doing to fulfill these core mandates, achievements recorded across the 36 states in the nation, and the challenges it faces. Watch Power Wheel showing on this channel.
Voted as the best TV station of the year, TVC News breaks into the core of major news events as they happen. Following all nationwide, big and impactful stories, we'll tell the news from every perspective, covering every human angle. I am Veronica, bringing you the news you want to watch.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live.
We are TV Station of the Year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Hello and welcome to the World Focus. Well, let's begin with an update on the COVID-19 pandemic, which is still ravaging the world. In Africa, Egypt has lifted many restrictions put in place against the virus, reopening cafes, clubs, gyms and theaters after more than 3 months of closure. This is despite a continued upward trend in new infections. Authorities also allowed the reopening of mosques and churches and lifted the nighttime curfew. The government allowed daily prayers in mosques and amid health precautions, but has kept suspended the larger Friday prayers for Muslims and Sunday Mass for the country's Christian minority. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, his government has been keen to save the Egyptian economy that was hit hard by the virus outbreak. On Friday, the International Monetary Fund approved another $5.2 billion loan for Egypt to be added to $2.8 billion the fund had already provided. With over 500,000 confirmed cases, the Chief Minister of India's capital, Delhi, has said the speed at which coronavirus has spread has severely challenged its health system. Mr. Arvind Kejriwal said the surge in cases earlier this month had led to a shortage of hospital beds and rise in fatalities. Delhi is now the country's worst hit area with about 73,000 recorded cases of COVID-19 and at least 2,500 deaths. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi is optimistic that India is much better placed than many other nations to tackle the virus, and the country's recovery rate is rising. Down to the United States, where Florida has reported a new record in COVID-19 infections amid a surge in cases in southern U.S. states that have allowed businesses to reopen in recent weeks. Today alone, Florida reported more than 9,500 new cases, up from almost 9,000 on Friday. The spike has led state officials to tighten restrictions on businesses again, as Texas also did on Friday. The official number of coronavirus infections across the U.S. is expected to surpass 2.5 million over the weekend. More than 1,000 125,000 COVID-19 patients have died nationwide, more than in any other country. Well, the pandemic has taken a hard toll on New Zealand's two biggest industries, tourism and travel. According to data provided by the Statistic of New Zealand, the transport service, including the aircraft industry, has declined by 5.2%.
In the past few months, China Southern Airlines has been operating flights from Gwangju City, capital of South China's Guangdong province, to Auckland, New Zealand. However, due to strict border controls in the country which prohibits entry to foreigners other than New Zealand citizens and permanent residents, the China Southern Airline flights are mostly for cargo. Auckland Airport is the largest aviation hub in New Zealand. The airport used to operate about 2,000 international flights from 28 airline companies every week before the COVID-19 outbreak. Now only 10 airline companies have remained operating in the airport, with 100 international outbound flights. The General Manager of Aeronautical Commercial at the Auckland Airport, Scott Tasker, said the coronavirus has caused a serious negative impact on both the aviation industry and tourism industry inside the New Zealand.
We have seen our international passenger volumes reduce by about 98%, so absolutely that has an impact on our business. But I think importantly, it also has an impact on the New Zealand tourism industry. Around about 80% of the visitors to New Zealand typically flow through Auckland Airport.
Air New Zealand in March decided to pare back its workforce of 12,500 by 30%, and an over 85% reduction in long-haul flying caused by COVID-19 pandemic and the government travel restrictions. However, following the easing of coronavirus in the country, the airline business in New Zealand has resumed, at least for its domestic flights. Air New Zealand announced that starting from the end of June, it will resume the international flights from and to China and Japan.
So domestic is a small help. The Trans-Tasman bubble and the South Pacific is another help. If we can get those borders opened, yes, Australia is our biggest international market, so that will certainly help.
New Zealand reported 3 new cases of COVID-19 on Thursday, bringing the total active cases in the country to 13, according to the Ministry of Health. The new cases include 2 in Christchurch and 1 in Rotorua. All of them are in isolation.
A Turkish drone has attacked a building known as Kunamasi Resort in Kurdistan region, Iraq. The aim was to kill 4 cadres of Kurdistan Free Life Party. As a result of the attack, only 1 out of the 4 cadres targeted was killed and 3 others were injured. Well, civilians were also injured in that attack. Well, Egypt, Ethiopia and Sudan will agree a deal to fill the giant Blue Nile Dam in 2 to 3 weeks following mediation by the African Union to broker a deal to end a decade-long dispute over water supplies. Tortuous negotiations over the years have left the two nations and their neighbor Sudan short of an agreement to regulate how Ethiopia will operate the dam and fill its reservoir while protecting Egypt's scarce water supplies from the Nile River. The announcement was a modest reprieve from weeks of bellicose rhetoric and escalating tensions over $4.6 billion Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, which Ethiopia had vowed to start filling at the start of the rainy season in July. United States President Donald Trump has signed an executive order directing federal agencies to prioritize skills-based hiring. According to the White House, it will expand the requirements for federal jobs that currently require college degrees to prioritize skill sets. The goal is to modernize recruitment and hiring in the federal government and expand the pool of qualified candidates. This was one of 2 executive orders that the president signed at a meeting with the American Workforce Policy Advisory Board at the White House. The other order extends the President's National Council for the American Worker and the American Workforce Policy Advisory Board for another year.
To further expand opportunity, I'm taking a bold action to reform the federal workforce today. I'll sign an executive order that directs